and welcome back to Brooklyn Cooking. My name's Rico, and today we're doing sausages all different ways. The meat you use for Italian sausage is pork shoulder, pork butt. They're all the same thing. Boston butt, different names. It's a sausage with a good fat content. You need good fat. I ground up my own. I bought a couple of pork butts. I ground up the meat myself with my KitchenAid stand mixer with the meat grinder attachment. It's a small grinder. It's not as powerful as a big dedicated grinder for meat. So in order to get this done, you really need to par freeze the meat. You got to put it, after you cut it up, you got to put it in the freezer for about 3 hours, and then it will go through. If you put it in warm, the meat, the fat is just gonna clog up around the cutter, and you'll have a mess, and it'll lump up. It'll be mucker running through everything. The way to avoid that is really to be cold. When it's nice and pretty much almost frozen, it works like a charm. Now, if I had a big mixer, if I had a big grinder, hint to anybody listening in my family, we do a big batch of dried sausages the end of January, and Christmas is a month before. That will be a nice little present. Hint, hint. Okay, as you can see, it's all ground up. You got 14 pounds here. Took about 40 minutes to cut up and maybe 25 minutes to ground. That's it. To this, we're going to add our spices. Everything is in grams once we get by the pounds of the sausage. So we have 80 grams of salt for 14 pounds. I was running out of cups, so I mixed in ground red pepper and the paprika. The measurements are 22 grams of paprika and 5 grams of red pepper flakes. I don't use black pepper. This little red pepper in 14 pounds is not going to make it hot. It's just to give it not even a kick. So it really is replacing the black pepper. All right, so the basic formula, 14 pounds. I would also put in ground fennel, and this is just for regular sweet and hot sausages. So I would use 14 grams of ground fennel. I'm going to put that in a little later because some of the sausage I don't think the fennel would go with. Now the fun begins. Now you got to mix it up. You got to get dirty. And the only thing you could do with this is use your hands. Now this has been sitting for a while. If you did this right after grinding it, when it was partially frozen, it won't be partially frozen once you grind it. That meat will be cold and you're going to need a timeout. This is still cold. It was sitting around for an hour or so. I'm doing this for about 5 minutes. It's not that much. When you do 80 pounds, it's just a lot of work. Okay, this looks pretty good. Like I said, this is the base for all different types of sausages. Now we're going to divide it up and break it up and do different mixes for the different types of sausages. We're ready for our first batch. Our first batch is going to be a crowd pleaser, pretty much traditional. You can get this in any Italian sausage stand. Cheese and parsley. We're going to use provolone cheese, parsley, just cut up, not cooked or anything. And I'm going to add some Romano cheese to it. So, I don't know. Basically, I have about one quarter of the amount of cheese to meat. So this would be about 12 ounces. I have a little less because it may be too much. Now's the time to just eyeball this stuff. Go by hand, go by eye. This is not rocket science. You like more cheese, you put in more cheese. You don't like parsley, you don't put in parsley. But then it wouldn't be cheese and parsley. And put in. Never go wrong with Romano. It might look like big lumps of cheese in here, but that's gonna melt out and cook out when you're cooking. When you cook your sausage. But I think that's pretty much good to go. That looks pretty good. Looks cheesy, definitely cheesy enough. Now, with any sausage making, with any stuff where you're making a big batch of something, 3 pounds is not that great. I'm always take a little piece, make a patty, and fry it up. see what you got. If you fry it up, now you have a chance to adjust your seasonings. You need more salt. You know, you don't want to make a big batch of things and then after you stuff them and you fry them up and you say, man, this sucks. You want to test it out beforehand. So we make a little patty and we're going to fry it up. That looks pretty good. Okay, we fried it up. If you have the casing, you're not going to see any cheese oozing out. It's ready. I'm going to give it a taste. Okay, it was very good. I think we're good. No adjustment needed. And we'll move on. Now one of my favorites, broccoli rabe. Just basic sausage with broccoli rabe. But here, what I left out of my basic recipe, I'm going to put in this one. So we're going to add a little fennel. There's about 4 grams of fennel in here, based on just 3 pounds of meat. And the other thing in my basic formula is pepper sauce. This is hot. I get this at Coluccio's on 60th Street in Brooklyn, but I'm using the sweet one today. If I was making hot sausages, I would use the hot pepper sauce. Have some of the sweet in here. Well, just want to eyeball this a little bit. Not too much. Give it a nice flavor and a little color. Now to add the broccoli rabe. But before I do that, I'm going to wash these little porky hands and get clean hands to handle that. All right, you know broccoli rabe, there's leaves, there's the flowers, and there's stems. I don't like to throw away the stems, but I'm not going to put them in the sausage. They'll probably be a little too rough. The way I cook broccoli rabe is I separate the leaves from the flowers. I give the leaves a little head start because it took a little longer to cook. Flowers are very delicate. You know, I cut up the stems, but like I say, the stems we're not going to use there. I just, little garlic, little olive oil and garlic, I fry it up, do it in a wok, I steam it with a little water in there to start. I cover it, and then when I think the leaves are okay, I'll add the flowers and then cook it up a couple more minutes. Anybody who's seen some of my, you know, I'm not a professional cook, so sometimes when I make something, I like to check the internet and see what other people are doing. And one thing I have yet to be able to find on the internet is broccoli rabe sausage. Whenever I search for broccoli rabe sausage, I get sausage with broccoli rabe on the side. You know, you start with Italian sausage and then you cook broccoli rabe. That's a wonderful dish, but it's not what I'm looking for here. So this may be the only one on the internet. I may be the first, so hopefully it's good. Okay, I started with 1 bunch of broccoli rabe that I cooked up. And then you add it to your sausage. When you think you have enough, you like broccoli rabe, add a little more. You don't like broccoli rabe, I say it's kind of stupid to say add less, because if you don't like it, you're not going to make it. There's no set formulas here. Do what you like and it will be good. I tell you, whoever I gave broccoli rabe sausages in the past, they said, oh my God, it's the best sausage I ever had. I'm not patting myself on the back, but it's true. Anyway, this one we're not going to do a taste test. I mean, it's basically the same as the other one. I know the broccoli rabe, I tasted that before, so that's good. So we're just going to move on to the next sausage. In here, got a lot of stems left, but I like the stems, so that'll be a little meal. Maybe an omelet. And we'll move on. Next up is one I never did before. We got jalapeno and cheddar. But before we go any further, she was asleep for the cheese and parsley, but I got to pay the cheese tax now. So here we go. Now we're allowed to do the video. Okay, like I said, now we're down to 2 pounds. I put in a little pepper sauce here, but on this one, since we got jalapeno, I put in the hot pepper sauce. So, we're going to do like we normally do. We're going to add in the jalapenos, uncooked. Since I never did this before, I don't know. should have cooked them as chopped. The only place I ever saw this made was on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. I never saw anybody else have cheese and cheddar and jalapeno, but I'm sure many places make it. So we're going to add some cheddar now. Some good aged cheddar, sharp. Oop, a little too much there. Maybe a little too much. You like jalapeno, you like it hotter, throw a little more in. But we could probably use a little more, use the ones that I missed the ball with. Now this leftover stuff, we're gonna make some great omelets. Maybe a frittata. Speaking of frittatas, anybody wants to see a frittata video recipe? We make a killer frittata, and just put it in the comments and we'll do it. Like anything you want to see, you want to see a different sausage, I might have said that before, put it in your comments. You want to see a different dish that you may not see made much, put it in the comments and we'll try to oblige. A little more cheese, and I think this is a wrap. Okay, I'm going to finish mixing this up, and we'll move on to the next sausage. All right, next is another first time you, first time me. We have spinach and feta. Speaking of frittatas, this is probably my favorite omelet, spinach and feta. Like I said, if it makes a great omelet, these two are marriage made in heaven. How bad could it be in the sausage? Here we're going to bring back a little fennel. Yeah, 2 pounds. We put in 2 grams of fennel. Now the spinach, I just boiled for a few minutes. Put it in an ice bath to stop the cooking, and then I sauteed it. So I stopped the cooking and then I cooked it again. I don't know how much sense that makes, but that's what I did. I sauteed it with a little garlic and oil, a little red pepper. I always put, when I saute any vegetables, it's always garlic, oil, and a little red pepper, and of course salt and pepper. This one I'm going to be dying to taste because I want to see how it comes out. We'll grab feta I just crumbled up. The spinach I removed most of the stems. I'm always a fresh spinach guy. I don't like the baby spinach. I'll buy it once in a while. It's all I can find, but I really like the real hardy spinach. That's what I used here. If you can't find spinach today, I had to 1 to 3 places. Nobody had spinach, even the farmer's market. That only comes on Sundays to Brooklyn. They have spinach every Sunday. Today, this morning, I went there. I said, "Where's the spinach?" He goes, "We don't have any today." Went to my regular fruit stand, who always had spinach. They didn't have any. Then the supermarket had it. I think Key Food. I wasn't even going there for spinach. Going there for something else. They had spinach. I already got bought a frozen one, so I just put the frozen one back in the freezer, and I went with the fresh. But you want it to be dry, so after you cook the spinach, whether you get frozen spinach, whatever, I have this, I don't know, nutmeg or whatever. I don't use it for nut, but you put the spinach in here, and you squeeze it, and all the water comes out. If you don't have one of those, just use a towel. But you want to get this pretty dry. You don't want a lot of water in the spinach. Add a little more cheese. This looks like the best one yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm partial to this one. I'll finish mixing this up, and we'll move on to the next sausage. Okay, we got another 2 pounds of meat. With all this meat, what other stuff could we pile on top of this to make sausages? This one is, I have no idea how it's gonna work, but I've been loving my pesto. I made, my basil is growing like crazy in the backyard, so I've been just eating it. I made a batch, throw some in my sandwich, throw some in my eggs. So why not throw some in the sausage? So again, we're gonna put in a little fennel, 2 grams, 1 gram per pound. We're gonna add some. Look how I wish you had smell. I wish we had smell-o-vision. This is so delicious. Look how green that is. And we're gonna mix it in. Might as well go with it all. You throw some meat in there and get it out. This is all mixed up. We'll have one more for the road, and we'll be back. Okay, this is the last of the sausage batch. It wasn't quite 14 pounds, so this one is maybe 1.5 pounds. So I had 13.5 pounds. So we're going to add the fennel, mix it in. And this one is just going to be straight basil from the backyard. In fact, everything was from the backyard. My jalapenos were the backyard. Parsley was the backyard. Spinach I had to buy. The broccoli rabe I had to buy. I'm sure you're sick of watching me mix sausage meat, and we'll finish mixing up and we'll be back with the stuffing. We're ready to stuff. We have everything out on the table. We have our stuffer ready. And the worst part is the first one will be the cheese and parsley, which gets the thin little ring. And worst part is getting this around the tube and getting started. Actually, this isn't too bad if you soak it long enough. It goes nice and easy. You hold one end up and you pull down. It goes pretty easy. Oh, we're flying now. We got a lot to go. We'll be back. This is the sausage stuffer I use. It's from Lem. They make a lot of, they make bigger ones. This is a 5-pound stuffer. So we only have 3 pounds, so this should be no problem. I put it in the hopper. Now it's time to stuff the sausage, but make sure you leave it open so the air don't blow up. And I have someone turning the hopper, and we're almost ready to go. Here it comes. And rolling it up, this is and when we try to keep it going, make a ring. Ran out of casing. Yeah, we could load up more casing, but the hopper's empty. No sense, we're just gonna save that and fry it up. And then on to the next one. Now we're on to batch 2. This is the cheddar and jalapeno. We put a bit bigger casing on. See the difference? Now we got like a real sausage, not the other one, the fake sausage. These are a lot easier to work with. Even I have trouble screwing this up. Then we got to reload on the casing, and we're ready to go. Done? Yep. Okay, this one's done. All right, we just loaded up the broccoli rabe. There's a little of the cheddar left in the tube. We're just gonna squeeze a little of that out and then cut it and do the broccoli rabe. See, the broccoli rabe is starting. I'm gonna cut this here, and the cheddar is done. Now we got my favorite going, the broccoli rabe. Continuing with the broccoli rabe. Even though we had more casing on the tube, problem is these casings come in a big tangled web, and it's hard to get really a long piece out without it finding a knot. So you cut it at times and you make smaller pieces. Try not to bore you too much on this. If you've seen one rolled out, you've seen them all. This broccoli rabe is my favorite, so this is the last one we're going to show. We'll do the rest, and then we'll come back when it's done. This one was a perfect recipe. We ran out of casing at the same time we ran out of meat. So far we did 3. We'll do the other 3 and we'll be back when we're done. All right, we're finally all stuffed. We got our 6 sausages. Looks like they look pretty good. We got the cheese and parsley. We got the feta and spinach. We have the basil. We have the pesto. We have the broccoli rabe. And we have the cheddar and jalapeno. Let me know in the comments if you want us to try anything else. And I haven't tasted anything yet, and I'll put it in the comments if anything was a failure. So right now, arrivederci from Brooklyn Cooking, and we'll see you soon.